Today we're diving into a really profound idea from the psychologist Carl Jung. It tackles one of life's absolute toughest challenges. How do you genuinely, truly help someone when you just can't stand their flaws? Okay, let's get into it.
I mean, we've all been there, right? A friend, a family member, someone we really care about. We want to help them, but we find ourselves judging everything they do. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we get past our own judgment to actually connect with them?
So to explore this, Jung uses this incredibly powerful analogy, the relationship between a doctor and a patient. He believed that this dynamic holds a universal truth about what it really takes to heal.
This quote, man, it just gets right to the heart of the matter. Jung is arguing that acceptance can't just be a performance. It's not about saying the right words. The other person is only going to feel truly accepted if you, deep down in your own heart, have come to terms with even their darkest side.
And this is the core of the problem. According to Jung, the second you pass judgment, and this is key, even if you do it silently, just in your own head, you put up a wall, a barrier. You can no longer really connect with that person's psyche. You're no longer a companion on their journey. You're just an outsider looking in.
Okay, so if judgment is the barrier, what's the way through? Well, Jung proposes this pretty radical form of acceptance that he calls unprejudiced objectivity.
Now, that might sound cold or detached, but it's actually the complete opposite. Jung describes it as a deeply human quality, a profound respect for the reality of someone's situation. It's about seeing their struggle not as some moral failing, but as part of the incredibly complex riddle that is their life. And here it is, the crucial rule. Acceptance has to come before change. If you condemn someone, you're not helping them, you're oppressing them. You're just adding to their burden, you're not freeing them from it. Real help, genuine help, starts with accepting them exactly as they are, flaws and all.
But here's where Jung takes this sharp, dramatic turn. He argues that this whole challenge of accepting the worst in other people, well, that's just practice for the hardest challenge of all, accepting the worst in ourselves.
Jung asks this absolutely haunting question. What if all those things you condemn out there in the world, the selfishness, the cruelty, the weakness, what if you suddenly discover that all of that is living and breathing right inside your own heart?
And this is the staggering realization. The person who most needs our kindness, our patience, our acceptance, it isn't someone else. It's that part of ourselves that we try to hide from the world, and even from ourselves. I am the enemy that must be loved.
So, when we make this terrifying discovery, what happens next? How do we possibly react when we're confronted with our own dark side?
Well, typically our reaction is just brutal. We turn on ourselves. We take all those virtues, love, patience, kindness, and we weaponize them against ourselves. We condemn this inner person, we rage against them, we lock them away and pretend they don't exist. We treat ourselves far, far more harshly than we would ever treat a stranger.
And this internal war often targets one thing above all others, our own egoism. And this leads us to Jung's most counterintuitive, and maybe his most powerful idea, that this very thing we're taught to despise actually has a hidden, almost divine purpose.
I mean, just look at this comparison. It really shows how radical Jung's perspective is. Where society sees a flaw that needs to be stamped out, Jung sees a sacred and healthy power. He says that trying to cure someone of their egoism actually makes everything worse. It just drives them deeper into their neuroses. Instead, we have to see it as an authentic force with a much deeper purpose.
Now, this might sound completely destructive, right? But Jung saw it as a necessary journey. By embracing your own unique path, even if it seems selfish to others, you might first feel really isolated. But it's in that loneliness, he argues, that you can finally discover who you truly are, and only then can you genuinely, authentically appreciate the value of community and the love of other people.
Because the goal of all this difficult inner work isn't to stay selfish forever. Of course not. It's to end the civil war that's raging inside you and to finally achieve a sense of wholeness. Jung had a name for this transformation, enantiodromia. It's a fundamental law of the psyche that says anything taken to its extreme will eventually flip into its opposite. Think of a pendulum swinging back and forth. By allowing that demon of egoism to run its course, to be fully seen, heard, and understood, the psyche naturally, on its own, swings back toward its opposite, a deep, real connection with others.
So this is the end result. This is the goal. You move from a state of internal civil war, with two halves of your personality constantly fighting, to a reunion,
You become a whole, integrated person because you're no longer at war with the enemy inside.
And that's what we'll leave you with. Jung's work isn't just some abstract theory. It's a deeply personal challenge. It forces us to look in the mirror and ask, what part of myself have I been condemning? Who is the enemy within me that is just crying out for my own acceptance and my own love?